Hello, in this tutorial I'll be showing how you can easily edit a photo in Photoshop as a beginner from the start to the very end. And if at all you have always loved this, simply like this video, don't forget to subscribe this channel if at all you have been watching and you need to subscribe to this channel. And if at all you want to download this image to follow along, simply check the links in the description of this video so that you can download the raw image and follow along with this tutorial. So in order to open up the raw image, you're simply going to come to the file that we want to edit, right click and come to open with, and simply choose the Photoshop version that you're going to be using. And as soon as you open up a raw image in Photoshop, it is going to automatically open up the camera raw filter. So in camera raw, we just want first of all correcting the lighting and contrast issues regarding this very image. So we're just going to come and take the highlights down and do the same for the whites, and you're just going to open up the shadows in this case to have more information in the shadow areas, and take the blacks down just like that, and add some contrast to the image and open up the exposure of the image. So you can see before and after that we have right now. So after doing this, the next thing is going to be scrolling to our color mixer, and you can see that we have hue, saturation and luminance. So while playing around with the hues, we are changing a given color to look like a color on top of it, which is like the yellows. Or you can move it towards the right hand side to look like a color below it, which is the aquas. So what we want to do, we're just going to understand hue. Then saturation is the intensity of a given color. You can increase or reduce on the intensity of the selected color. Then luminance is about lightness or darkness of a color. So for this, we're just going to come to the greens and simply make the greens towards the aquas to make the greens pop, but that is going to make the greens oversaturated. So in this case, we're just going to come to the saturation and slightly reduce on the saturation or the intensity of that given color of the greens, just like that, and we are going to reduce on the saturation or the intensity of the yellow. So you can see before and after that we have right now, and you're just going to come to the luminance and slightly darken the oranges to have more contrast in her skin tone. So after that, just come and click on open to open the photo in Photoshop for us to continue with the process of editing. So in Photoshop, we just want first of all remove this distraction. So you're just going to come and get the spot healing brush tool, and the mode set to normal and content area selected, and simply dab over the softbox to eliminate it. And after eliminating it, we just want to go straight into the retouching process of this image, or to edit the skin and smoothen the skin. So in order to smoothen skin, we are simply going to use frequency separation. And remember, frequency separation divides the image into the colors and the textures. So come the background layer and simply duplicate it twice by pressing Ctrl J, or you can use Command J. Name this to low and the up layer to high. And after doing this, select the low frequency layer and turn off the high frequency layer. Then we are going to come to filter, blur, and come to Gaussian blur. Take the radius slider down and click on an area on the skin that seems to have more textures, and left click while releasing it. Left click and drag while releasing the left click button to see the effect in real time. So we have to stop at the point whereby the skin textures are just starting to disappear from the image, and click OK. So select the high frequency layer and now come and activate it. Then come to where you see image, apply image, and it's going to open up the apply image dialog box right here. Make sure the layer you select is low, or you select this layer in the middle, which is the low layer. Channel is set to RGB. The blending, remember this is a 16-bit image, we have 16, has to be set to add. The scale is 2, offset 0, opacity at 100%, preserve transparency and mask are not checked, and simply turn on the invert option, and you'll see the textures on this gray layer. So if at all you're editing an 8-bit image, this is what you have to do. Don't turn on the invert option. The blending you have to use is subtract. The scale is 2, offset 128, and opacity at 100%, preserve transparency and mask are not checked, and you can click OK. So ours is a 16-bit image. So what we will do, change the settings to 16-bit settings, click OK, change the blend mode from normal and change it to linear light, and you see the image getting back to the way it was meant to be. So select both layers and press Ctrl G, or you can use Command G on the keyboard to group these layers. Then come and open up the group by clicking on this drop down arrow. Select the low frequency layer, come and turn off the high frequency layer. Then you're going to come to the brushes, right click and get the mixer brush tool. And if at all the mixer brush tool is not displaying under the brushes, you can locate the mixer brush tool down here. So after getting the mixer brush tool, make sure the hardness is set to 0%. Clean brush is selected, and the second option that says clean brush after each stroke is also selected. Weight of 9%, load 75, mix 90, flat 100%, and slightly zoom into the image by using Ctrl+. So we just want to blend the skin tone and smoothen the skin. So you can increase or reduce on the size of the mixer brush tool by using the box bracket keys on the keyboard. So how to blend a given area, we left click and hold down, and we mix a given color in a given area. And after mixing that color, you release the left click button and left click once again and drag and mix a given color that looks alike. And where that color is transitioning from one color to another, we use a relatively small brush to blend the transitions in that area, and you have to follow, or you have to move your brush in a direction of how her face is shaped. So when it comes to the nose area, slightly zoom in by using Ctrl+ on the keyboard, or you can use Command+ on the keyboard. Then blend these dark areas of the nose just alone, and also come this other side and also blend those transitions. So when it comes to the neck area, we are just going to slightly increase on the size of the brush. So you have to keep on playing around with different sizes of the brush depending on how big or how small an area is, and you have to follow the direction or how a given area is shaped to keep and maintain the original shape of that given area. So I just want to get rid of this line. That is why I'm trying to paint harder in an opposite direction to try and eliminate that line which was existing in that area. So I'll come and move the brush in this kind of direction, because the hand is now bending and it is following this kind of direction. So this is what I will do onto her skin or the rest of the skin, and retouch it. And you can see in this way it is going to be making the skin look smoother by just blending the transitions between the colors of the skin, or by blending the skin tones. You can come and turn on the texture layer to see what you have blended, and for any area that has those annoying patches, you can use the brush and blend them even with the texture layer turned on. So right now we are done working on the skin. So select the high frequency layer and come and get the clone stamp tool, and make sure the hardness is set to 0%, mode is normal, opacity at 100%, flat 100%, align is checked, and sample is set to current layer. So you have to zoom into the image by using Ctrl+, or you can use Command+ on the keyboard, and identify the blemishes or skin imperfections, for example this area. Reduce on the size of the clone stamp tool by using the box bracket keys on the keyboard, and hold down the option key on the keyboard, or hold down the alternate key on the keyboard, and left click on a clean area near the pimple or the blemish, and simply left click once again after releasing the alternate key, or you release the alternate key on the keyboard and left click once again over the pimple or over the blemish to eliminate it. So to remove this line, we hold down the option key on the keyboard, or you can hold down the alternate key on the keyboard and left click on a clean area near that line, and release the option key on the keyboard, or release the alternate key on the keyboard and left click, or you draw over that line following its direction. So that is how you can easily clear up or remove blemishes and skin imperfections from your subject's skin. So take your time as you're doing this process. So after removing the blemishes, it is time to color grade the skin. So you can see what I've been able to do for a skin before, after. So in order to color grade the skin, we are just going to come and create a stamp visible layer. And a stamp visible layer is basically a merged layer for everything that we have done below. So to create that, simply press Shift Option Command E if at all you are using Mac. Then for Windows to Shift, alternate Control E to create a stamp visible layer. Then you're going to come to Select and come to Subject, so that Photoshop can automatically select the subject for us. And after it has selected the subject for us, we are simply going to come and create an empty layer by clicking on the Create New Layer icon and change its blend mode from normal to color. Then what we want to do, we are simply going to come to the brushes, right click and get the brush tool, and make sure the hardness set to 0, the mode is set to normal, opacity and the flat 100%. And this time around, we just want to create uniform skin color for our subject. So what we want to do, we are just going to sample a color on the skin that we want the rest of the skin to look like. So hold down the alternate key on the keyboard, or hold down the option key on the keyboard and left click on the color that you want on the model's skin. So option and left click on the color that you want the rest of the skin to look like. Reduce on the size of the brush. Remember, we have selected the empty layer that we created. And simply with the brush tool, we are just going to come and paint on her skin. So this step is more of creating uniform skin tones or creating a uniform skin color for our model or for our subject. So you can see, be careful not painting the hair or even the edges. So take your time as you are trying to do this kind of process or procedure. Don't mind if at all the colors are looking a little bit overboard or oversaturated, because we can always come back and correct those colors. So the purpose of the selection of the subject is because when it comes to the edges, we do not want to paint out of the subject layer or the subject herself, and we just want it to get limited and paint within the borders or the boundaries of our subject. So I'll paint each and every finger. So like I said, you always have to be careful and take your time with this process. And for this step, you have the liberty to zoom all the way in so that you can paint carefully each and every area so that you don't leave out any single area. So if at all you accidentally paint on an area that you did not want to paint, you can come and get the eraser tool and make sure the hardness set to 0 and the mode is set to brush, opacity at 100%, flat 100%, and simply erase or rub away the areas that you may have messed up, like painting on her outfit. In this case, Ctrl Z to undo on a given area. So I'm just going to erase it from those particular areas. Come here and also rub away or erase the color grading from even her hair in this case. So do that and erase all these extra colors that you have painted in these areas. Come to her face and erase the color from her hair, because sometimes we tend to paint and do that kind of mistake of painting the areas that we did not want to paint in the very first place. So I'll use Ctrl minus to zoom out, Ctrl plus to zoom in. So I'll just erase it from the makeup or the lipstick. So I'll use Ctrl minus to look at the image. Now that it has a uniform skin color, this is a little bit too much. So I'll first of all deselect the selection by pressing Ctrl D, or you can use Command D on the keyboard. Then come to the opacity and reduce on the opacity so that this color of the skin can look natural and realistic. And after doing this, we are simply going to come and create a black and white adjustment layer. Change the blend mode from normal to multiply and come the opacity and reduce on the opacity to our liking. I think 5 is okay. So when you feel like the skin is still oversaturated, we are simply going to come and create a hue and saturation adjustment layer and come and target the reds and simply take down the lightness of the reds slightly until when the skin color is looking better, natural, and more off on the realistic end. So after you have done this, the next thing is going to be manipulating the black color of the outfit. So just come and create a selective color adjustment layer and come and target the blacks and come to the cyans and just slightly take up the cyans of the blacks to create that kind of cinematic black or black color before after, and this creates a whole different mode. But I feel like that is overdone, so I'll just take it around 8, and you can even intensify on the black slightly to around 1. So you can see before after. So after you have done the color grading, let's do a little bit of eye whitening. So just going to create a hue and saturation adjustment layer. Make sure master is selected and come to where you see saturation and desaturate the image by taking out the saturation or the colors to around -79. Make sure the white layer mask is selected and press Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert the effect. Zoom into the image by using Ctrl+ on the keyboard and get the brush tool. Make sure you have black and white on these two color swatches, or you can use press D on the keyboard if at all you have any other color on these color swatches, or you can simply left click on the tiny swatches to have black and white. So make sure white is the top color or foreground color by using the arrow key. Reduce on the size of the brush and simply paint using a white brush on this black mask. So make sure the black mask is selected. Command minus to zoom out, and you can see the image looks better than it was initially before. So but we are not yet done with the editing process of this image. So we are going to come and first of all create glow or shine to her skin by coming to the curves adjustment layer in this case, and come down here, left click, drag this up to when you feel like the highlights on the skin are bright enough. Then double click on this layer mask to open up the layer style dialog box and come to blend if, make sure it is set to gray. Come to where you see underlying layer and drag the effect from affecting the shadows and the midtones, and stop only at the point whereby the highlights are the only affected areas. Hold down the option key on the keyboard or hold down the alternate key on the keyboard and split this right hand pointer so that the effect can blend better into her skin. Click OK, select the white layer mask and press Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard. With the brush tool selected, white as a foreground color, we are just going to come and paint on the highlight areas of her skin. So before after. So if at all it is too much, you can always come to the opacity and reduce on the opacity so that the effect can look natural and realistic before after. So after we have done this, the next thing is going to be creating another stamp visible by pressing Shift Option Command E on the keyboard, or you can use Shift Alternate Ctrl E to create a stamp visible layer. Then we are going to come to Filter and come to Liquify. So we just want to kind of shape her hips in this case. So we're just going to use Ctrl+ on the keyboard, slightly zoom in and use this to drag down. So make sure the forward warp tool is selected and the density is set to 50%, pressure to 100, and I'm just going to come increase on the size of the forward warp tool and just drag her hip just out a little bit, just like that. And you can see that this looks somehow better than it was initially. So don't overdo this. So let's go to our lower upper part of the body. Just going to drag this down a little bit. So you can see the before, after. Click OK, and you can see the image now looks better than it was initially before. So we are now done editing this image. So the next thing is going to be saving this very image or exporting it. So in order to export the image, we are simply going to come to File, Export, and come to Export As, and it's going to open up the Export As dialog box in Photoshop. And make sure the format is set to JPEG, quality set to the highest, which is 7 for my case, the resample set to bicubic sharper, and scroll down to the color space. Make sure convert to sRGB, and also embed color profile have been checked, and simply click on export and choose where you want to save the image and simply click on save. So this is how you can easily edit and color grade your images when it comes to Photoshop. And if at all you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe if at all you have been watching and you're not yet subscribed to this channel. Ronix from Ronix Photography. Thank you for watching, and see you in yet more videos on this channel. Don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.